Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's Jim Amedeus, and we are here today. And we're going to talk a little baseball, my friend. It's early, so we don't know exactly what's going on. But to quote the amazing movie Casablanca, we round up the usual suspects. And that means the usual suspects. You can't overlook the Dodgers at this point in time. Will they be there at the end? Who knows? But they won the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. They won the offseason. Obviously, they won the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean the Dodgers, as you said, they're a team that they're every year, and frankly, we know they're gonna perform well, 100-win team during the regular season. It's what they do when they get to the playoffs. And recently in the playoffs, they haven't had a lot of success and luck. So yeah, that's all you can really say about the Dodgers, right? I know they're going to be good. Let me see them in the playoffs.
Well, the only thing I've got concerned about with the Dodgers is their pitching staff. I don't know how far it goes.
Yeah, it's never good when you got to sign Clayton Kershaw for depth. But
Yeah,
hopefully they did have a lot of guys injured last year, so hopefully they can get some of those core guys back.
yeah.
And
Walker
good.
Bueller would be a good one to get healthy and back. And the Kershaw thing was more of he wants to end his career there. I get it, and so it wasn't really an overwhelming number for the Dodgers to hit that one. So Kershaw gave him kind of a family discount because he didn't want to go anywhere else. So, but as you say, and I agree wholeheartedly, what's he get? What are we going to see in the way of innings out of that rather older arm of Clayton Kershaw? So it'll be interesting. Speaking of teams that are there, always there, but never show up in the World Series, let's talk about the Atlanta Braves. They again, this is a team on paper who's probably the best team in the National League. On the eastern side of the docket, they won 100 games last year, like the Dodgers, but problems there too.
Yeah, and just like the Dodgers, year in and year out, they're a dominant team during the regular season, yet they only have that one World Series win in the last 5 years, which is great. They at least they got it, but again, this is like the Dodgers. This is a team that dominates the division. They just dominate everything every year, and yeah, they get to the playoffs. So it'll again another team where these top end of the MLB definitely are like we know they're going to be good. It's a wait and see factor with them, what they do when they get in the playoffs.
Well, they always spend money. They have quality players, but for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get over the hump. And this is where the smaller market teams, usually knock these guys out. And I know that they're owned by Liberty Communications, and Liberty is probably one of the richest conglomerates in Major League Baseball. They may very well be the richest conglomerate in Major League Baseball. So the Braves and the Dodgers spend money, but their win on return hasn't been, I should say, that great over the years. The Rangers pop back. These are the defending champions. I don't see anything that going bad for them. And as a matter of fact, with a little bit of luck, they should have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? If anything, they should be getting healthier. They won the World Series last year, and they should be getting healthier with those arms coming back from injury. But yeah, definitely, we've seen the Rangers are a team where very recently they've been spending a lot of money. So this is no surprise. They had that great season last year. Obviously, won the World Series, and they should continue to be a good team this year because they've invested that money and they produced results. So I totally agree. I don't see how this team would be any different. If anything, they should be better because you're
Yeah,
getting, Jacob DeGrom, you're getting some decent arms that you actually were thin on when you won the World Series.
and if they manage Max Scherzer's, start, Max could also be, one of those guys who I think both he and Jacob DeGrom are going to have to be managed. They're going to have to be on an innings count, a pitch count. I mean, every kind of count you can
Yeah.
get to get them back to the World Series. But again, I do think they've got the best pitching staff probably in baseball right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's some unsung heroes
Yeah.
on that crew as
Well,
well
who was
that
it that
performed
last
very
year
well.
that you were on all the time, almost
Uh,
every time he pitched?
I'm
Evaldi?
not sure who was it. Was it? Yeah, Nathan Eovaldi. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
one that it was a shock really to see
Yeah.
for Boston to let him go. He still has some
Still
great
still got the
uh,
arm.
yeah, still got has some great performances left in him. So that made no sense to me. But hey, Boston's loss is Texas's gain. Obviously,
Clearly.
he helped, and even Dane Dunning was one who he was a
Yeah.
little bit of a streaky one, but when he was pitching well, man, you couldn't hit off that guy.
Well, and Corey Seager went off last year too, so we'll have to see how that goes for the Rangers. Okay. Now, the Orioles are in the 4th spot. And for those who haven't kept track of it, David Rubenstein is the new owner of the Orioles. Now, in a very macabre situation, he is the owner of the team with 49%. The Angelos family is at 51%, but they have ceded the basically the baseball operations aspect to Rubenstein because of the inheritance tax. They literally this is the macabre part of it. When Mr. Angelos passes away, then the Orioles in total will be owned by David Rubenstein, who will then get more of the he will own. I don't know if he's going to own it 100%, but he will certainly well exceed the 50% range. And at that point, that's why Major League Baseball hasn't had to have a vote on David Rubenstein taking over as the Orioles owner. Now, something that Orioles fans are probably excited about is he has no trouble spending money. And so when you've got a team that's got, that won the division last year and will make some deals and will sign some players, that's certainly not bad. Now he's sitting back waiting a little bit to see, what the Orioles really need. And so don't be surprised if, we're not going to say it's going to happen this year, but maybe at the trade deadline, they'll take on some contracts, some money. So we'll have to see. But the Orioles are no longer should be considered a small market, situation. Ironically, because the acrimony between the Nationals and the Orioles was so bad between the Lerner family who owns the Nationals and the Angelos family who owns the Orioles that the Nationals have been up for sale for the past few years, and now they're not. In an announcement made this morning, the Nationals the Lerner family said that they now are going to continue to own the team, and will be moving forward with you know spending money and developing and making sure they can become competitive again. So I think a lot of that has to go with the fact that David Rubenstein and the Lerner family are friends and get along a whole lot better than the Angelos family did. So we'll have to see how that works out for both sides. But it's an interesting situation for the Orioles. Now, here's a team we might have remembered. The Astros are back, and there's nothing wrong with that team either.
Yeah, I mean, Texas seems to be the team to beat in that division right now, but the Astros, like the Dodgers, are a team that's seemingly always there.
Yep.
So until they have a really bad season, you can't count this team out. And just going back to the Orioles, all I want to
Sure.
say with them is I think maybe they're just a little high on this list. I love the
Yeah.
Orioles. I was high on them last year, especially the way they finished
Yeah.
the previous season. And obviously they did great things last year, but I still think their pitching staff isn't quite there yet. That's
Mm-hmm.
the real problem area. And when I see him sitting back to start the season, like I understand you want to make the right moves. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. That's why this is a wait and see team for me,
Mm-hmm.
just because with him sitting back, and now you just lost Kyle Bradish for the season
Right.
to a UCL tear. That was a really good arm. So I definitely think pitching is an area that needs to be improved and improved quickly if this team wants to get off to the same hot start, because
Mm-hmm.
now teams are going to be ready for them.
That's
They,
right.
they flew a little under the radar last year. Teams are going to be expecting them this year. So
Not
it's
yeah.
always that expectation factor.
Not any surprises here. They will not be surprised on this. Now, hopefully, Rye Cape is out of our listening area at the moment. Here's a team, the Phillies, who just, they do well. But my concern with the Phillies is is what concerns me with the Phillies every year, and that is pitching. I don't know what's going on. They are right now considering giving Zach Wheeler, who's 34 years old, a 6-year deal, equal to or a little bit more than what the Yankees want to give Blake Snell, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 years at 162. So yeah, the Phillies are looking to extend, because at the end of the season, Wheeler's gone. So they think that Zach Wheeler is somebody they want to get under contract for quite a while, and they just signed, as we know, in the winter they signed Aaron Nola to a long-term contract. So they're going to have. I mean, this is a problem that Phillies had a couple of years ago, and that is you've got big contracts for old arms, and we'll have to see if that pays off.
Yeah, and all the other thing is it seems like the consistency factor is off. They're never hot at the same time. It's like when
Right.
Nola's pitching well, Wheeler's giving up runs. When
Right.
Wheeler's playing like an ace, all of a sudden Nola's giving up 4 or 5 a game. So definitely, I agree with you. Some consistency in
Would be a
the
nice thing.
in the pitching staff, specifically the bullpen too. Now, obviously, they did fix that a bit last year because it was atrocious 2 years ago. But that was same concern last year coming into the season with their pitching staff, and they still had a great year. So they have enough talent for sure offensively, where I think they'll get by. They should be in the playoffs once again. But yeah, definitely. And I think Rye Cape will agree with the fact that they definitely need pitching. I mean, he was the one that was talking about needing pitching at the trade deadline last year. Too bad they didn't get Giolito. I know he was a fave, but they definitely need to do something on that end for sure.
Yeah, and the like you said, I mean, the Phillies have got some pretty heavy bats, and they play at Citizens Bank Park, which is a really a bandbox, so they can really make hay in the 81 games that they play at home. They don't do any favors for their pitching staff, who tends to keep the ball high. You want sinker ball pitchers at Citizens Bank Park. You do not want people hitting fly balls, because fly balls there can fly out of that park pretty quickly. Speaking of flying out of the pretty quickly, they conquered last year in a surprise, but they're not going to be a surprise this year. The Diamondbacks at 7.
Yeah, this was a team we kind of thought was a bit ahead of schedule last year. So they have tons of talent. I thought the players they got from the Blue Jays were great moves. They're only going to help going forward. So yeah, and they did struggle a bit with their starters staying healthy. Obviously, they had the one injury. I think it was Zach Gallen or one of their starters anyway. I'm not sure if it was him specifically, but it might have been Merrill Kelly actually that missed a good portion of the season. But yeah, and we even saw this team make a pretty good run in the in the playoffs too. So obviously the Dodgers are the team to beat in that division. But I'm excited to see what the Diamondbacks will do. I think they
Mm-hmm.
have a good young team there with some offensive talent and some good pitching as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. That brings us to the Yankees at 8. I think that might be a little. Oof. I mean, you look at the Yankees starting lineup, and you say, okay, there's not an out here. Okay, you go down the batting order, and you're like, okay, is there somebody here that I'm going to get out consistently? I don't know that there is. The problem is the Yankees, besides Garrett Cole, pitching wise, there's not a lot of you know certainly name arms and quality arms on that Yankee pitching staff.
Yeah, definitely. But finally, we've seen this team spend a ton of money this
Yeah.
offseason, which was much needed. And I'm sure if they don't bring in some good arms before the season,
Mm-hmm.
they'll quickly learn during the season. That you got to go out and get somebody. So I'm not worried about this team. I think with the season they had last year and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they finally decided let's go spend some money this year.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Yankees.
Right.
I think that they have no choice but to be good. You cannot be bad this season. You have to be the best team in the AL East. So that's all I'm going to say
Right.
about the
They have
Yankees.
to be the best team in New York. I mean,
Yeah.
so that would be a good thing. Number 9, the Rays, and you got Shane McClanahan. I don't know if he's probably not going to pitch this year. If I had to guess, um, he had the Tommy John toward the end of the season last year. It usually takes a year for that to sort itself out. I maybe if they made the playoffs that you would see Shane McClanahan. You got Randy Arozarena. You got you got some players that are certainly exciting. Kids to watch and players to play. It's a typical Rays team. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but usually they find a way to win.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be fine. They've actually, just with their starting lineup
Mm-hmm.
alone, they've have some good young talent that has
Mm-hmm.
been growing in the league now. Obviously, Randy Rosarina, but Wander Franco is starting to come out. So definitely a lot of talent on this lineup, and we know the pitching's always good, just the way that they run their team. So yeah, I see the Rays being a threat as always. Whether they'll be the best team in the division or fighting for a wild card, we'll have to see, right?
Well, they did get a pretty good haul from the Dodgers in that trade that they made. So that might. I think everything depends on those arms that they got from the Dodgers. If those arms from the Dodgers can be integrated into not necessarily a starting lineup, but get some innings out of them because they do a lot of those situations where they have a designated opener and then they work their way back to the bullpen. Um, it'll be interesting. Now, number 10 is a team that you like a lot and probably higher up than 10.
Yeah, well, this was a team where we really wanted Otani to go.
Yeah,
We
if it
thought
wasn't going to be the Dodgers, it should be them. Yeah.
yeah, it could make a nice home up in Seattle, where another legend played up there from Japan. So it would have been nice. Would have been nice. But yeah, I mean the Mariners are a great young team. If anything, they kind of underperformed a bit last season compared to how they were 2 years ago. So I'm interested to see, especially with the Astros and the Rangers now, being such a force. We'll have to see what happens. You could probably discount the Angels now that Otani's gone. I'm sure that's not even going to be much of a threat of a team there. And there's also a AAA team in that division, so it should be at least a third place finish for the Mariners, you would think. But yeah, they could go on a run. They have a lot of talent in their lineup. So I don't think they're as good as the Rangers and the Astros, but we'll see. Maybe they make a run this year.
Well, they were there at the end, remember? And then they had that bad week against, I think it was, yeah, the bad week was against the Astros because they remember they beat Texas 2 out of 3. I'm sorry, they beat the Astros 2 out of 3, which cost them the first place in the division, and the Rangers won their games, and so the Imps had a kind of a schizophrenic ending to the season. Um, but I, I hate to say that I think that they're underachieving because there's just so much talent on that team that they should have done better than what they did. But you're right, the Rangers and the Astros are not makes it tough to win in that division. So
Yeah, I think you need to
everybody's
see
beating up
some.
on each other.
Yeah, some consistency is the big thing for
Yeah.
Seattle.
All right. So now here's the rest as we go in panel by panel. Your Jays. Now I'm somewhat. I defer to you on this. I just every year I keep waiting because I think the Jays are going to find something. It's not they don't have money, and it's not that they don't have good organization. I just don't understand what causes problems for them.
I don't know. Everybody, every year they talk this team up like they're gonna win the division,
Man,
and every year they fail to make the playoffs.
yeah,
So to me, the team is a joke. I don't know. I don't even personally. I don't bet on the Blue Jays often. I rarely bet on or against.
fade them a
No,
lot.
no,
Yes,
not even that. I barely bet on their games at all last year, like for or against. They're such a
hmm
weird team in that sense. Yeah, I don't know. They'll probably again they'll be talking like this is going to be some great team this season that should win the division, and I'm sure come the last 2 weeks of the playoffs they'll be struggling just to make it in the final wild card spot.
man, that's usually the way it works with this group. Um, uh, any thoughts on? I mean, there's the Twins, who who usually win that division, the Central. Uh, I
That's the key thing there, Jim. Right?
Yeah.
Someone's got to win that division.
Well, look, there's the Cubs right next to them. I mean, the Cubs, the Cardinals. I mean, we don't even see the Cardinals. We haven't seen the Cardinals on the panel yet. So they're back. They're back in the pack. Um, I don't know. I mean, you got the Cubs, Padres, and Reds. I mean, the Reds had a pretty decent first half. They just didn't have a good last half of the season. Forget the Mets; they're a train wreck. Um, did the Padres give up so much in those trades that they just don't have anything left?
I don't know. I got to see from the Padres,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah.
talked a big part of their troubles last year was that it felt like there was really no leader in the room, right? It
hmm
was just a bunch of stars being like, I got to get my hits, I got to get my
Right.
runs, right? We're not
Yes.
playing as a team. We're just nine guys trying to smash the ball out of the park independently.
Right. Or as Cal Ripken used to say that when you get to some of those teams, it's 25, independent contractors that take cabs, that haven't that they barely know each other's names. So
Yeah.
you might be right on that one. Okay. By the way, the Cardinals are not going to show up until the final panel. The Red Sox fans have been anguishing over the Yankees and the Red Sox finishing in last place uh, over time. Hey, Sean shows up. There's Sean popping up somewhere. He's got a little baseball behind him, or maybe
Hey,
soccer. I'm not sure. Hey,
hey.
Sean, we're just going through the Major League Baseball here talking. So
Oh
what's up?
yeah, okay. Nothing. Just got out of work. So wanted to say come on and say hello and
Oh, good.
maybe go through
Always
some of the
good.
baseball. Hey, you doing
Sure.
over unders?
I'm sorry.
You doing over unders?
If you want to,
We're
we're
just
not. We're
talking
just
about the teams, really. Yeah, we're
yeah.
just
Okay.
these are the power rankings that they got, and we're just running them by, seeing what we think of the teams here.
Yeah.
I don't think
Just
it
kind
matters after the Dodgers though, does it?
of. Well, it
Well, that's the thing,
depends.
right? And
Yeah,
with the Dodgers, you know they're going to be good, but it's when we get to the playoffs, we'll see what this team does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
something that they haven't done in a while. They haven't. They just haven't played consistently. Now you're up there where the Philly fans are, less than kind. Um, we were talking? We're concerned about the Phillies pitching. Any reason to be?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, look, the problem in that division right now, obviously, the Braves are going to be tough. So, you almost got to be perfect to not be the wild card at this point. But yeah, I think that's always a concern with them. They don't have the same stats as the teams in the National League at the top of the National League. So they can hit a little bit, but I don't know. They've been so good for 2 years here. You just wonder if at some point maybe they're going to struggle one of these years. But they do hit. So and I just don't know. The rest of that division. Um, I know Miami was pretty good for times last year. The Mets were a disaster. Washington. So
Hmm.
it's just going to be interesting to see what goes on with that team. I don't know that they're going to do much in the playoffs, but things can change. I mean, they're one of these teams that will spend if there's somebody out there. So.
Hmm.
Uh, and the other team around here that everybody kind of roots for is the Yankees, and we'll see what
We
happens with
talked
them
about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I
until the
was
Yankees
saying.
win. Yeah, until they win something, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I was saying about the Yankees that basically, yeah, with the season they had last year and the amount of money they're finally spending, which has been a long time coming, they have no choice but to be good this year. They simply have to be a good team, or everything's a failure.
The problem with the Yankees is, you know, they're not. Everything's analytic. Everybody, look, it's an open secret that Brian Cashman runs the team, and it's analytics, and
Hmm.
Aaron Boone is kind of like a figurehead there, and he has some input, but you know not really that much. That's why they kind of keep him around. And they can hit. They hit the ball and they crush the ball, but once again, they're in a division. The Blue Jays. We'll see. They're talented. Um, you know, this could be the last hurrah for them. See how many guys they signed here. I mean, at some point, you can't keep offering Vlad, arbitration. You got Bichette. You got to sign these players here at some point. The Rays. That's my team. They've lost some players, but they always find a way to win games. The Red Sox. Who knows with them? John Henry. You never know with them. And of course, you got the Orioles, who were the best team in the AL last year. One of them. So
Hmm.
and they're only going to get better. So, I think I saw some win total projections, and everyone's kind of thinking the Yankees are just going to go crazy and win 105 guy. I don't know, man. That division's pretty tough.
Oh, I
Yeah, it
totally
is.
agree. I'm,
It
I'm just
is.
saying they have to win. And with the money
Have
they
to.
spent this season. They had, like, there's no choice. You either win games or something's gonna happen next offseason.
This is where one of the most fortunate parts of being in this business at one point in time was I got to be friendly and spend a great deal of time with George Steinbrenner. And one of the things that I loved about Steinbrenner was that he demanded, uh, success out of the team. And if there was somebody um, you know, that needed to be signed, he would go get them, and he didn't care. And that is not how Hal Steinbrenner runs the Yankees. They got money. There's no doubt about it. The Red Sox. I mean, if you look at it, the Red Sox and the Yankees print money. Okay, so if in theory they could do exactly what the Dodgers do if they wanted to. but both of them are, both the Red Sox and the Yankees are in other, you know, they're part of a conglomerate that spends money on other things. I mean, the Red Sox own soccer teams. They have NASCAR teams. They have, Dunkin' Donut franchises. I mean, it's, they're not just Red Sox baseball.
That's where I think the problem comes with those teams. I mean, the fans, the Red Sox and Yankees fans, obviously. I mean,
Hmm.
I see it all over Twitter around here. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going crazy, but the owners are like, "Look, man, we're making like billions. If we
Hmm.
win or lose, it doesn't matter. They
Right.
already sold the tickets. Like, that's a people said, oh, just don't show up to the games. The season tickets are sold already. It doesn't matter if you don't show up, man. They already have your money. So, I
Well,
always think that argument is pretty interesting.
I don't think you're going to find a lot of empty seats at Fenway,
Yeah,
and
probably
and
not. I
this,
mean, unless they go, unless they're winning 65, 70 games again,
yeah, but I'm saying the reason I'm saying that, Sean, and the same thing, Yankee Stadium, and you guys know this. Out of town guys want to come and
it's
go
a
to the Fenway.
tourist. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
tourist.
actually a place to go.
Just like
If you're a
Liverpool.
baseball fan,
It's like
you
Liverpool.
wanna. Those are bucket list places to play.
One of the
Yep.
seven
Yeah.
wonders of Boston. You got to see the Green Monster at Fenway.
Right, exactly. Hot dog. You got to enjoy
Cask
yourself
and
there.
flagging and the cask and flagging in the Boston Beer Works before the game, and then
Yeah.
that
Although,
arcade that's right.
go ahead.
The arcade that's I used to live in Boston for a summer,
Yeah.
and this was 1995, I believe.
Okay.
And the arcade that's right behind there, right behind center field, we were in there one night, and I was playing either the baseball, it was like virtual baseball or virtual golf,
Right.
and somebody walked up to me and was like, "That's not how you do that." And I turned around, and it was Mark Wahlberg,
Ah.
and I was just like, oh, yo,
Okay.
I know you. I was like, Mark, and he was there with his funky bunch. It was cool. Like he was
Yeah.
there with those, he was there with his entourage. Entourage is based on,
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg. So he was there with his whole entourage. So I
Right.
was like, oh, how do I do it? And he showed me. And then
Hmm.
like all of a sudden his whole entourage was playing. And we were talking about stuff for like
Nice.
10 minutes, just about whatever, base sports or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like all these girls saw him and they're like, ah! And I was like, I don't know if that's for you or me, but it's probably for you. He's like, all right, yeah, I gotta go. I was like, all right, man, good to talk to you. It was pretty cool. This was like
Yeah.
'95, so yeah. I thought that it was that was pretty cool. That was one of my earliest uh you know
Star sightings.
star sightings. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I used to see all the Beastie Boys in New York too.
There you go.
Yeah. It's all
Well,
about the whole, when you go to a Red Sox game, there's a whole thing around, there's the whole area around it, the
it's
cask
Wrigley.
and flag.
It's just like Wrigleyville in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole event. Like
Yeah.
you're right. I guess there's probably going to be people going. I think Yankee Stadium maybe not as much. It's a pain. It's kind of a pain to get to Yankee Stadium, but
Well, yeah. There used to be back in the day, that cabs wouldn't take you out there.
they won't. Yeah, they won't pick you up. I mean, you could go there, but we always used to take the cab there and then we'd have to take the subway
Take the
home.
subway home. Yeah. The the and the thing that at the Red Sox park at Fenway that bothers me now is that I don't trust a baseball stadium that has a Dunkin' Donuts concessions area in it. Just it ruins the whole concept of baseball for me.
Yeah, you got to get food. Like the Phillies, they got good food. Like I will say this, I like going there and getting the food, but it's all no cash anymore in Philly. You
Hmm.
can't use cash anywhere.
Right. Well,
Actually, when I went to the college football game in Pittsburgh there
Heinz Field.
at Heinz Field, yeah, they're all cashless too now. So that was like that threw me off as a Canadian visiting who only had American money in cash. That really threw me off.
They
Maybe these
well,
days.
yeah. They even they don't even do the tickets anymore. The tickets on your phone,
Yeah.
and
There's
it's
a big
all.
thing coming in Manchester now. 'Cause I renewed my season, my membership, and
Uh-huh.
there's a big thing coming with that because you used to be able to pass tickets to people, and you could even send them like send an email. But now I think what they're doing is those QR codes that the Eagles do. So you can't. It's really tough to pass them. Like you have to pass them through official means now.
Mm-hmm.
Because that QR code you can't you can't. So
Here's the bottom half of the draw here from the for the power rankings. The Nationals, 23rd. The Cardinals and Pirates at 24, 25. I mean, that's I don't think I've ever seen the Cardinals that low.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be aging with them, right? Plus, they were
Yeah,
kind of going through a bit of a fire sale last year, so
yeah.
end of an era, I guess, in St. Louis, that's for sure. But I'm sure they'll rebuild and they'll have a competitive team in a few
Well,
years.
the Cardinals, like the Dodgers and the Braves and the Rays and some of this, I mean, they have good organizations. And so it doesn't take long to reload. So maybe they'll have a year or two where they're not contenders, but they'll get back there. I mean, that's one of the great things that, you got to give the Cardinals, Dodgers, and, the Rays credit is they've spent money in their farm systems, and they do have, a pipeline to the major leagues from, from these different minor league franchises they have.
Yeah.
yep.
I really wish that years ago that you know the Pirates could have gotten sold, to there were a couple of different, you know ownership groups out there that would have sunk money into them.
To
Uh,
someone that cares, yes.
yeah, it just bothers me that the Pirates, just they're basically at times feel like a AAA farm club to everybody else in the major leagues, and
Especially with that division. Like that division has
yeah,
been
it's winnable.
winnable for
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 years. It hasn't been even recently. If you had a half decent team and you spend a little money, you could get into the playoffs. It's not that tough a division, and they just don't seem like they care.
Well, I mean, if you go back, what was it, maybe a decade or so ago? Um, you got we got some questions here. Baseball question. Any word who replaced Michael Resco? Oh, that's not a baseball question. Um, uh, Roderick, not at the moment. I know they're looking for another television guy like Mike, who came from CBS, but I don't know who's going to get there at this point. But I'll let you know as soon as I find out. He has another question, which is, what's your prediction on the Marlins? I'm going to give that to Sean and to Amadeus. Let them talk
Well,
about it.
I,
Sean touched that
I,
they were great last year.
They played out of their minds last year.
I think
What do you
that's
think,
yeah.
Sean?
I don't have the record. I'm driving, but like I think that division. They're going to win some games in the division. Obviously, the schedule's a little different now, but when you play the Central and you're playing some of the teams at the bottom of that division, and the Marlins own the Phillies. They play them really tough.
They
In the
got
regular
great
season.
pitching.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think Roderick. I would say probably that's 80. 84 would be over. I think 86, 87 wins. Possible playoff. I'm just. I think it's going to be. The West is clearly the best division. Obviously. Um, I think they could kind of beat up on some of those teams in the bottom of the West and maybe in the Central and the bottom of the East and some of the teams in the AL. So yeah, they do. I mean, pitching is everything at this point. I mean, if you have decent pitching and a good bullpen, you're going to win a lot of games.
If you had if the Marlins pitching staff was on the Phillies, they probably would be the best team in the East.
Roderick is saying
Yeah.
they have good food there, which is
Yeah,
I've
it's what I heard.
only heard good things about the food at that stadium.
Yeah. Well, I think I think Jim makes a good point with that. This Marlins team was already good last year, and
Mhm,
this pitching staff is very underrated. Guys like
mhm.
Luzardo, I think Eduardo Cabrera or not Cabrera. There was a different one. Got to refresh my mind
It's
on these
okay, I
these
understood.
starters, but. Yeah, no, the Marlins had a fantastic starting rotation for sure, and they have a young team. That's the other thing, right? Like
Mhm,
their hitters are young.
mhm,
Jazz Chisholm Jr. there, like they are building a team, and if anything, I think they were actually ahead of schedule last year. They should improve this year.
mhm,
they're an underrated team, is what they are. They're an underrated
mhm,
young team, and as Sean mentioned, maybe this is the year the Phillies finally have that down year because of their pitching staff. The Marlins can take advantage of that 100%.
Yeah, I would tend to say they're an over. I think they're a little bit of a dangerous team in that National League. And same thing. I think after so many years, of mediocrity and below mediocrity, maybe if they're in the middle of a race, there, they have some pieces they can trade. To maybe get them over the top, to maybe get them to 90 wins,
mhm.
91 wins, something like that, which would definitely be a wild card, I think, at this point. Cuban two
Two.
foot sandwich, great barbecue. All right.
There you go.
Might have to get down
It's
there. Hey,
just the only thing I'm going to tell you right now, Roderick. The only problem I have with with Marlins Park is the parking for the parking to get in. It's it's a bit of a tricky situation, but guys, before we move on and get out of here, um, it, it's something that's kind of interesting that in the past 10 years, you now have to when you go to a ballpark, you're getting basically, you're getting some of the best food from some of the best places in the town. Because they've it's no longer the old concession stand where you go up and get a hot dog or a hamburger or something like that. I mean, they've got gourmet type food at the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, for the
Toronto's
price you
not like
pay.
that, but
Oh
I'm sure
no,
it's
it
different
doesn't work
down
that way.
there. No, they give it. They still have. They have like some stuff up here, but nothing
No,
like gourmet. Like
no,
it's just
no,
your generic. Go get your hot dog and fries, right?
no poutine. I mean, come
They
on.
have. They have. That's the thing, right? Like there's a local. There's a place around here called Smokes Poutine, and I've
Hmm.
seen that at BMO Field. I've seen it in the Rogers Center, right? But like other than that, you're not finding even like a Tim Hortons, or you're not finding brand names in the Rogers Center. It's literally it's like go get your generic ass hot dog and fries.
Well, they got a Shake Shack at Nationals Park, out in center field. They've got all kinds of great local delicacies that you can get on. It's kind of funny. FP Santangelo told me that the day he was that the day that he uh, realized that baseball was not baseball the way that he viewed it anymore was when the DC Cupcake people got more people standing at their concession stand waiting than the Bud Light people did at their at the beer area. So that kind of tells you what you need to know. But it has each year a lot of these teams add yet another local restaurant or eatery to their roster of offerings at the old ballpark. So
Yeah.
going to the
Well,
old ballpark
to be
isn't
fair
just
to
a
the
hot dog
Rogers
guy anymore.
Center, I haven't seen the new renovations, so maybe they did add some new local places in
You
there.
never know.
Obviously, that
Yeah.
that was part of the plan, was to have kind of like
Mhm.
a seating restaurant area where you could like look through. But we'll have to see, right? I don't know, but yeah, it doesn't sound as good as some of the ballparks down there. That's for sure.
Back in 1972, this is a real quick one from my the late Shelley Saltman, who at the time was the L.A. Lakers president. He said that they early in the season he ran to a concession stand. He hadn't had an opportunity to get something to eat. Ran to a concession stand, bought a hot dog, and halfway through, from the time that he started biting on it to the time that he got to his office, he threw it away and says, called a meeting the next day and said, "We have got to go find some place in this town that serves a decent hot dog, because if we can't get it at the ballpark, I don't know what the hell is going on. I mean, not the ballpark, but at the stand. How can we expect people to come here and do it?" And by the way, they literally made a deal where they had Dodger dogs, and you could have chili on them, and you could have all this other stuff on them as well. But so Shelley got his deal, and at that point he turned some of the concession stands over to restaurants in the LA area, and that was kind of the first wave of how local restaurants got involved with sports teams. So
Yeah.
anyway, going all the way back to 1972, little history lesson there. All right, well that's it for baseball. We're obviously gonna talk about it over the next few months, all the way to October. So we got stuff going on there. Amadeus, you got stuff going on as usual, my friend.
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. I got 2 Champions League plays that you can get for today, as well as 3 college basketball, and returning to the Argentina soccer league that they're right now the first 5 match days of the Argentina Copa de la Liga Profesional has started, but I'm finally dipping my toes in that. So there's a game at 6 that you can go get. The Champions League starts in about 5 minutes, and then all the college basketball is tonight 7 or later. So make sure you go check that out.
Got plenty of time, and tomorrow, USF plays at UT San Antonio. So that's the game for our team, the Bulls tomorrow. And I know you had a couple of quick things you wanted to say before we got out of here on that one too.
Yeah, you know what? We'll save it for tomorrow. Have a
Okay.
nice little motivational speech for them. So just it's all about
they can listen to it when they're getting ready to go to the park.
exactly right. I'll give a little tease now. You just if they are watching, you just got to remember, this is the classic situational letdown spot.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to go out there and play. You got to treat the FAU win like every other win. Shelf it and move on, because great teams don't have letdown spots. So you got to go out there and show us how great you really are. I already know you're a great team, but if you lose this game, beating FAU means nothing, because then you succumb to the letdown spot and you just prove everybody else like, oh, this team's exactly what we thought they are. So this is the game. Arguably more important to win this game after beating FAU than the actual FAU game. Obviously not as important, but definitely you need to win this game.
Well, you got to beat the teams that that you're supposed to beat, and they're supposed to beat this one.
Every game on their schedule is winnable.
There you go. And the Charlotte game should be a lot of fun. Roderick, Donna DeMora is a name that keep an eye on. Donna is the associate commissioner of the AAC, and she's somebody that Mike thinks very highly of. The conference thinks very highly of her. With Mountain West getting a woman who is, whose name escapes me, who came over from Stanford to the conference. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised, I should say, if Donna DeMarco got the job, because she is beyond competent. She's a fantastic and powerful and very outspoken woman who is a very solid administrator. So if you're looking out of the box, that might be the way to go. Donna DeMarco, who's right now the associate commissioner of the conference, that would be kind of a seamless move. So that might be the way to go. So keep an eye on that, and I'll let you know if I know any more. And thank you for coming by, Roderick. We always appreciate folks coming by and asking questions. So you're always welcome. We're here a little after 2:00 almost every day. So give us a look. All right. So thanks a lot to everybody for watching. Thanks to Sean for dropping by. Thanks to Amedeus for giving us his input as always. And we'll see you guys tomorrow when we talk a little MLS soccer, which is coming tomorrow to Fort Lauderdale. All right, guys. Have a good day.